There are so many things that you have the opportunity to do or you are capable of doing, but it's time sensitive. The reality is like there might just be a point in time where I'm not able. And so I'm like, if I ever am at the point where I can no longer do the things that I once could, would I be proud of how I took advantage of that time? Or would I still wish, man, I wish I would have done this? What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Today for Tomorrow podcast. We've got a full crew in the studio.
Team is back together whole.
Yes, sir.
It's time. So, jumping right in, the episode today. Now, I had sent a message as we do. We send, if you guys didn't know, throughout our lives, things happen, okay? Mm-hmm. And then when we have a moment that kind of makes us reflect a little bit more, we send a subject in the chat and we say, hey guys, we should talk about this. One of those things happened. The other day, my complicated situation, I needed to go get my grandma's car. My grandma doesn't live far from me. And so I had the opportunity to either wait and, or get an Uber or, have somebody come and take me over there. And these were all things that were like very much present. We could have done it. No big deal. Right. But then I'm like, well, you know what? I didn't have time to go to the gym today. And so I just decided to run. I ran over there. I just decided, because I've got legs, I've got air in my lungs, I am physically fit and I can make it over there in a shorter amount of time than it's going to take for me to have someone else take me over there. I just did it. And it got me thinking about like, and that's a light situation, but it got me thinking about just the fact that like, there are so many things that you have the opportunity to do or you are capable of doing, but it's time sensitive. Like I was asked about like why I did it. And I'm like, well, essentially just because I could. Because the reality is like, there might just be a point in time where I'm not able. There might be a point in time where my legs don't work the same way. There might be a point in time where, just doing a little bit of jogging, I'm completely winded and I got to start walking and I can't make it. And so I'm like, if I ever am at the point where I can no longer do the things that I once could, would I be proud of how I took advantage of that time? Or would I still wish, man, I wish I would have done this?
Yeah, you're saying because I can, but I think the last part you brought up is like a reflection on did you take advantage or do we take advantage of the things that we can do? Mm-hmm. And when you shared that, and I was just thinking about, when you look at it on the surface, somebody will think the only way I could do this is take an Uber. The only way I could actually do this is get a ride. It don't even come into people's mind that I could do this, So we talk, and I'm thinking about business. It's like, people, they talk about what they cannot do and the barriers to it. Like somebody said, well, Martell, you can't do that. You got to go across Northwest Highway. You got to do this. Why would you do that? You can't do that. But, it's like an attitude, like, because I can. You got to have that attitude. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it made me reflect on, I had read something just this week where it said, we're being watched by our ancestors. We can do things that they only dreamed of. Like we have accessibility that no other generation has had up until this point. I mean, the internet, ChatGPT, we literally have magic at the palm of our hands, but it's a tool. It's like anything else where a tool without being utilized is essentially nothing. It's what you do with it that makes it powerful and makes it useful. And so for me, it just makes me think of, really taking those moments and that time to reflect on the things that we do have, like, because it's really just a perspective when you think about it. Your mind can go to, okay, I need to get from point A to point B. I need somebody to take me, or I don't have anybody to take me, or it can take you down a whole rabbit hole. Or you can go to the proactive side and say, okay, cool. What do I have at my disposal? Uber is an option. calling somebody for a ride is the option. Guess what? I don't need anybody. I have legs. Let me just go make this happen. And I was glad. And then you even put a productive spin on it. Like, not only am I going to make this happen, I'm going to make it competitive. I'm going to make it a workout. I'm going to make it tie into my day into a healthy manner, which essentially is this is really teaching people how we can better our state. Because everything starts mentally and in the heart.
Yeah.
From your mind and your heart, you manifest reality.
You always gotta have that can-do attitude. I mean, really.
Yeah. Well, I've heard it once said before, where it was like, the only way to really honor an opportunity is to take advantage of it. Somebody gives you, it says, all right, I've put everything that I know on this particular subject that you said that you want to do. I put it all right here. It's at the palm of my hand, and I don't even have enough time in my life to teach you everything individually. And I could not do everything, but here it is to you. You have it. Now, that's an opportunity. I'll just sit on it. I'll wait about, that's cool. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. You saying thank you is not the same as you actually doing the instructions that the person gave you. The most frustrating thing to somebody who's mentoring someone else is to give them and give them and give them and give them, and they never actually take anything that you say. It's like, oh, so you just wanted me to waste my time. The opportunity was there.
No, it's funny you said it, waste time. I was talking to my dad, and he was talking to a cousin. I know they're not going to, well, the cousin ain't going to watch this, but anyway, because she don't do internet. But
She don't do internet?
No, look, age. Okay. So this cousin was complaining, always complaining to my dad, always complaining about this and that and whatever. So my father got to the point where he's like, look, you can do something about that.
Yeah.
You can do
There's
something
a solution.
you can do something about that. And it wasn't like he was like giving an answer to a problem. He said, no, you can actually do something about that. And he was pretty much challenging her, what are you going to do? Well, instead of addressing it, this is going back to your sit on something thing, right? She got upset at my dad. Like, you don't listen to him, because his thing was like, you just sitting here belly aching about it every time we talk. Because it wasn't just one time, it's all the time. It's like, you don't want to do nothing about it. The point I'm trying to make is that you got a whole nother group of people who don't want to try. Yeah. They rather come up with the excuses.
And it really is a sad thing too, man, because I'm trying not to think about something, but so in real time, I was in a meeting in the next room while you guys were recording another podcast, and I got a text about somebody that I know from high school. And they're like, man, I think this person passed. I'm like, what? And I haven't had a time to dig into it, and I don't want to, pass any false knowledge, but it just made me think, like, that really is a luxury that we cannot afford to have, where, that mindset of, I'll get to it later, or I'll do this whenever I want to do it, because it's something that we don't like to talk about, we don't like to face, but we don't know our time on this earth. But we do know our time is limited. It's going to be a time where we move on and, we call it to God, we going to heaven. But it just makes you think sometimes, when situations occur, like, I got to do like what I need to do today.
Yes.
I can't wait till tomorrow.
Well, because we also don't know anybody else's time either.
No,
that's true.
It's that aunt, that uncle, that sister, that brother, that cousin, that friend, that person who you care about, you love, right? But you're just like, I'm busy. I want to. You should call. Hey, make sure you call so and so. It seemed like they going through some stuff over there. I'll get late next week. Next week I'm gonna reach out. I'm gonna go over there. I'm gonna go over there next week. We're gonna go ahead and figure out, see everything going on. Actually, I'll bring her favorite meal. Cool. Next week she's not alive.
Yeah.
And that, that because I can piece, I think the point we're trying to make here is that, look, capture the moment right now and know that, and that's, you guys help me with this a lot too. And this is why you got to be around the right people, is understand that you can. Mm-hmm. Because, when folks are talking about things that they're doing and, the motivation comes like, yeah, they going after, and you saying, hey, I could run and go get the car. I'm like, all right, well, why am I worried about a ride? Maybe I can walk to this place to get it, And then you talk about business, like, okay, well, man, I'm going for A, B, C, and D. I'm looking up here. And I'm like, well, man, I'm looking right here. I need to be looking up there too.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's a motivation that comes with it, but it also is like, we got to break through those limitations of what we think we can't do.
I hope that nobody takes that point lightly. Because the Bible talks about this all the time. Like Ephesians 5, you should walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise, redeeming the time because the days are evil. Mm-hmm. Also, you just don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. Ecclesiastes talks about that. But it's like, now, here's the situation. The reality is, take the same scenario. That person, God knows, on Sunday at 5:36, that is their last minute on this earth in the same form that they've been. That's it. They're done. You're saying you're going to go visit them on Tuesday. They're not going to make it to Tuesday.
No.
But here's the thing. This could go a few different ways here. You could be crazy. You can't make it. You just can't make it. I'm gonna go see them Tuesday. I'm gonna go see them Tuesday. But how will you feel on the next Tuesday depends on how you took advantage of the opportunity while they were alive.
There you go.
Yeah. Because, I'm still going to be sad, right? I'm still going to be sad about the situation. But if I knew that I did everything that I could, if I know that I gave when I could, if I knew I took advantage of that opportunity when I had it, now I can actually celebrate they're moving on.
The cost of regret is heavy.
Mm-hmm.
It can be a very heavy burden. And I was thinking about back in the day, we used to hear about, or maybe we've seen, at different funerals where certain people, the grief is so heavy. They take me with you. I can't. And it's like, man, we got to let our people rest in peace. Because the problem is not the person in the casket.
No.
It's the person that has to live with the regret of what they did or did not do. And that's the part that if you're watching this right now, even us as we're talking about it, we have to make our peace with that. We have to keep that ever so close. Not saying that we walk around, with a death wish or anything like that, but we do understand this is inevitable. This is going to happen to all of us. At some point, our time is going to expire. And it should motivate us. It should motivate us to accomplish everything we need in this world, but most importantly, make ourselves right with the ultimate creator, which is God. Because we want to ensure that we've been forgiven for our sins that we all commit in this world, and we know where we're going in the next life.
Yeah, true. And I think and you both hit it, that whole thing that when you are moved to kind of make that contact with somebody or call them or do something, react, because like you said, you don't know where that person's going to be or where you're going to be in that situation. So you right. I think that urgency is kind of what I was hearing, what you were saying. Like we need to, with you as well, Martell, that urgency. There needs to be urgency in what we do. And Grant, I know, like it's things I know I procrastinate about. I'm like, man, I need to move on this. I need to move on this. Now, you guys probably know different. When you got a deadline that all of a sudden you like, oh, I got a deadline.
Yeah. If God told you it was going to be on Sunday at 5,
you
figure it out.
I'm all over, yeah. But that deadline needs to be, that because I can, it need to be like, I need to do it as fast as I can. You know what I'm saying? I need to move as fast as I can. I can't be sitting on it thinking I got time.
It's interesting because I'm gonna take it down a different road, but we're talking about the same thing. But I was just thinking about this, I think about it often, but not long ago. The life of a full-time entrepreneur. The biggest thing that people struggle with or are challenged with is creating their own deadlines.
Mm.
Me and my friend were having this conversation, and we were both talking about, we're both full-time entrepreneurs. And we were just saying, man, it's so interesting how when we were in that corporate position and we needed to be there at 7 o'clock a.m., guess where we was at?
There.
So we was there. And we need to be there at 8, wherever we need to be. I've heard you've been on 6 a.m. calls.
Mm-hmm.
Because why? That was what the deadline was set by the corporation.
Mm-hmm.
What happens is a lot of entrepreneurs, when they take that leap, that first couple years, it becomes extremely challenging to hold yourself accountable because nobody's over your shoulder telling you, you got to be at the desk. Hey, where you at, Mike? I'm at your desk. You're not here.
Yeah.
So you got to be able to implement that deadline yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And if you think about it, we're talking about work, we're talking about entrepreneurship, but we're really talking about life.
Yeah.
It's the mindset that we all need to have in life. Like if it's something you need to do right now, you need to call somebody or make your peace with something, pause the pod.
We'll be here.
Do what you got to do and come back to it, because we have to prioritize our day.
Yeah.
And we have to do it with the things that mean the most to us. And guess what? That's what people are going to remember.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to remember how much you worked and all of that. People remember the times that you spent. They know your priorities by the time that you spend doing them.
The reality is complacency will lead to regret. Go ahead and be complacent in your relationship. You know y'all need to have that conversation, but you didn't want to have it. You've been pushing it off. You've been pushing it off. The problem is still there, but everything is okay enough to where we can keep this thing going without addressing it, but it really hurts everybody. Every now and then it'll come back up, but we should just address it.
Yeah.
You just being complacent. That job, you know good and well you need to start showing up on time. You know good and well you need to turn that thing in. You know good and well you need to put a little bit more effort in. You know good and well you need to start recruiting over here. You need to start doing this. You need to start doing that. But you know what? I still get my paycheck. Let me just do what I need to do to stay instead of doing what I need to do to actually elevate.
There you go.
Because it's like there's a time sensitive. There has to be a level of urgency to it. And when you talked about, I mean, the time freedom of a full-time entrepreneur. Yeah, you can sit there. You can just do X, Y, and Z and get by. But if you have no urgency, you have no growth.
Yeah. It's funny because I heard a really good quote just alluding to what you're saying is you don't have to change what you're doing. You can do exactly what you're doing, but what you may have to adjust is your goals.
Yep.
And I was just having this conversation with my son. We was talking about working out, and he's like, "Oh man, I don't feel like it." I said, "Cool." He kind of looked like,
What you
like,
talking about?
What you mean? That's cool. You gonna really? I said, "Listen, you got the age now. What you do is you're gonna be a product of what you put in. You reap what you sow. I'm not trying to live through you. I have my accolades are my accolades. I earned that. You gotta earn what you want. You don't have to change what you're doing, but you may have to adjust your goals."
This is really about taking advantage of the time. It's funny because like I was having a conversation talking about my brother. Like he has never, and Steph, I love you. He has never been.
We all love you, Steph.
He's not like the athlete dude. Like okay, so. Me and school, there was a common knowledge and an expectation. Martell is going to be in sports. We're going to show up. He's going to be doing something there. Yeah. When Seth goes, we're going to show up because Seth's there. Okay. We love Seth. We're just going to show up because he's there. But the thing was, I respect my guy because we were having a conversation about like he cooks. He's amazing at making food. Yeah. But he was like, okay, well, I can do this program or whatever, but there's football too. And so he was kind of debating on whether he wanted to do football or, you know, he could just go be an entrepreneur and do these other things. And like we were talking about it, and I'm like, you're not going to get another opportunity to play high school football. That's only during high school. You go ahead and become a 21, 22-year-old and try to go back on a high school football team. Go ahead, try it and see if you don't end up in some cell somewhere. But like, it's the thing is like, it's a time-bound thing. It's an opportunity to do it. I remember it was a great time for me. It was fun. It's an experience that I will never forget. And it was a very valuable moment in my life, that particular time. But if I delayed it, if I put it off, if I said, well, I'm going to focus on these other things right now, and I'm not going to do this thing that could potentially help me out, could potentially give me some experiences that I've never had, and I just decided to go do these other things and focus on something that's going to be around tomorrow that I could do, but it's going to be here tomorrow, then I didn't take advantage of the time and the opportunity when I had it. And then I'd always be thinking, man,
what if?
You know what? What if I did go join that team? You know, it might have been all right. I think I could do all right with that, you know?
Yeah. But that goes back, and we're circling back kind of that because I can thing. I mean, because if you don't answer that question and actually execute, you will have regret.
Yeah.
You know, it really what it amounts to, because I remember just, hey, happily married. Now I'm talking about back when I was in high school. Okay, you know, just starting to kind of talk to girls a little bit. Actually, before high school. But the point though is that you had to get past a wall, right? It's different now. I know y'all gonna say dating's different, but you had to actually go up to a girl.
Yeah.
You actually had to ask for a dance. You had to ask for a number.
Back in the day.
You had to be ready to hear that word no. Okay. And so
the dangerous word no.
Yeah. But if you didn't want to live in regret, if you didn't want to live like wondering, you had to say, okay, you know what? I need to go make this move.
Yeah.
I need to find out. I need to validate it, because otherwise you in your head like, what if I would have did? Because I did that for a minute. I remember making a decision. First little high school dance I went to, I was riding the bus back home, and I was just on the wall because nobody was there that I knew. Because and my buddies was going to the public school, but anyway, the whole thing, I was by myself. And I just remember on the wall, I didn't ask somebody to dance. I'm like, I was going home. I said, you know what? Something got to change. I said, you know, and this is to show you your mind, where I said, first off, I got to develop a personality. I said it to myself. And I said, you know what? If I ask 10 girls to dance, I might get 2.
Oh, he an engineer.
You know, no, I was
running the numbers.
it wasn't the number. It wasn't the number.
Yeah.
So after that, I'm like, hey, next dance I went to, I'm like, I came out of there like a champ.
Look at that.
You know, but it wasn't like I wasn't scared, but it was like, because I can. I'm like, hey, what's going to happen? What's the worst could happen?
That could really be a whole podcast discussion. Because we talked about this before offline. Like, I think a lot of this generation, they're missing that. Because that actually prepares
Brian
you for life.
Yeah, it did. You're right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, because essentially what we're saying is you have to make your peace with the potential of failing in front of your people, your boys, everybody. Like, you gotta literally make your peace. And the smart ones figure out it is a numbers game. The more you figure out what your success rate can be at and where you're gonna be successful at, this is how you're gonna find more successful endeavors. Apply the same principles to business. Now you're a successful business person. You need the reps on both sides. Because to be honest, we learn more from the L's.
Yeah.
When you are winning, everything's going good, hey, it's working. I ain't really thinking too much. You're gonna keep doing what you're doing. We need some of those L's, and we gotta be tough enough, adaptable enough to accept and embrace it. That's the part where a lot of people go wrong, where they get lessons every day, but they don't look at them like lessons. They look at them like losses, the other L word. And then they get offended by it. And then they start looking out the window, pointing at everybody else's fault. No, look at yourself. Look at yourself. What could you have done differently? Going back to the because I can. What can we do in this moment right now?
All of these different things in life that we have to kind of realize that you don't have it forever. And it's like, if you don't do something now, then you gotta understand that even if you're not gonna do something now, you have to be at peace with the result. You have to be at peace with, okay, if I lose this opportunity because I won't take advantage of it right now, am I okay with that?
Yep.
Am I going to have regrets after this?
Yeah.
And if so, if you deem that, go do something about it.
Sometimes we talk about high school, but I'm gonna talk about like right now. So I'm at a point in my life where, hey, I've been at this job for 30 plus years. It's time to do something different. I know that. But also the whole because I can piece is like, I know the clock's ticking. Like me and Sherry talked about this the other day. It's like, look, we got a lot less time left in front of us than we've already experienced. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, we done lived probably 2/3 of our lifespan already. I mean, we just being realistic about it. So it's like, okay, well, we need to start moving on things. What we're gonna do, you know? Because I mean, I think from a health standpoint, you know, trying to work out diet and all that's important to us because it's like, look, if we wait to do something when we in our 60s, it's gonna be harder to do.
Yep.
So you know, now young enough, physically fit enough to get yourself ready for that next stage. You know, so it's like, and why? Because I can do it now. I could go out if I want to start running now. I can go out and work out and lift now. But if I wait till I'm 60 something, it's gonna be harder.
That's a great point, man. And that's in our community, especially. I always ask this question, like, why does it take something potentially catastrophic to happen before we have that urgency? You know, you see it in our community where it's usually health. You know, somebody has maybe a stroke or some type of high blood pressure. Now it's time to get our diet right.
Oh, snap.
Now it's time to do a little exercise. And it's like, we gotta get the mindset where we're being proactive. Don't take for granted, you know, the state that we're in right now. You know, health, just physical health, mental health, all of these things that it's so easy to take for granted, but we have to constantly put ourselves in position. This is why serving is so important. You have to serve homeless sometimes so that you can understand, all right, I'm giving back, but I'm also close enough to where I can understand these people are not that much different than us.
No.
We look at them sometimes as you drive by, you like, but when you get up close and you start talking and you hear their story, you're like, man, this could have happened to anybody. Like, you know what I'm saying? And it humbles you, man. And that's the biggest thing, because I know we always try to give a practical takeaway to our people, man. I would say at this point, because I had something different, but now where I'm at, just serve more. Put yourself into the community more, you know, whether it's with young people mentoring, it's with the elderly, it's with, you know, feeding the homeless. Do something that takes you out of your normal comfort zone and puts you in a state of humility to where you're doing something productive to help, but you also have to do a little reflection and say, man, thank you, God. Like, thank you for the things that I may take for granted, because the truth is, as humans, we all do this sometimes. We all are a victim of doing this at times.
The translation between, you know, being out talking to females in the dating scene and the numbers, but then also translating the same kind of skills.
I think Rodney was talking about that.
And then you communicate.
Don't pull Mike.
That was Brother Rodney.
But then you translate it to business, like the skills that can communicate over to business. And I was thinking about it made me remember our conversation about being the man in the arena. Because the reality is, if you never go actually step out, you don't develop those skills. You don't understand how bad you might really be. Everything else is theory until you actually get out there.
Yeah, that's true.
It's like, well, all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just go out there, I'm gonna say this and that, and then this about to happen. Or you thinking about business, all I need to do, I read this book, all I gotta do is just put this here, talk to this person right here, and then I'm gonna make this deal, and I'm gonna be a millionaire. You ain't did nothing yet.
No.
It's that reality check.
It's a reality check. And I think, you know, because we're getting there, but I think, you know, what Mike brought up, what you just brought up, it's like, okay, because I can, what are we going to do? Because I think what you said, Mike, was like a call to action. And maybe that's how we end. What is that call to action for you personally watching this? Because hey, serving, doing something different. Maybe that's not your call to action. Maybe your call to action is to move. Maybe it's like, you know what? I need to make sure I get healthy. I be proactive. Maybe I need to start that business I've been trying to start or say I was going to start, you know, because I can. So it's like that urgency. And so that's my call to action. Really, I think, you know, we all should have a call to action, put some urgency around it. What can I do? What should I be doing? So, Martell, I'll let you close us out on this.
I did want to talk, I mentioned it, Psalms 90:12. So teach us to number our days that we may apply our hearts unto wisdom. It's wise. It's wise to have the mindset of, I don't have forever. Yeah. I can't sit on this forever. I need to do something now. I'm gonna make sure I do this in every episode. Bringing it into the kingdom context, God puts you here on this earth for a particular reason. And there are seasons that you're going to go through in life as you develop. There's people you're going to meet. There's times you're going to need to move in a different direction, go to a different place. But every moment, every minute that he's given you here is an opportunity. And he wants you to be doing something with that opportunity. There's a mission. And so who you are today, he put certain things in you and he puts you in a certain position in a certain place to have a certain effect and do something. And if you decide, later, God, then you aren't doing what you were called to do. And now, if I'm a king and the soldier that I sent to a foreign land to go dominate, have dominion and be fruitful isn't going to do what I called them to do during the time that they have to do it, then they are an unsuccessful servant. They cannot be my lead in that place. I've got to find somebody else. We got to think. We got to think about what we have to do and what's the actual mission and take advantage of the time that we have. This is important.
That is. Hey, go ahead and close us out, sir.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Today for Tomorrow podcast. If you haven't subscribed already, I would say do that. Go take advantage of the opportunity. Do that right now. And we've also got a few things going on here. You want to kick us off?
Sure. Hey, look, I invite you out to come check out Freedom of Christ Ministry on Sundays in the Metro Detroit area, 28202 Southfield Road. We meet here where we actually recording today. We have service, and hey, we invite you out to come fellowship with us, understand what God has for you in His Word. All right, and then we got 2.0 every second Saturday of the month, same place, 10 a.m. Depending on when you see this, make sure you mark your calendar for that second Saturday and come out and check us out. And you'll see brothers, you'll see Martell, you see Mike, see a lot of room. Brothers is iron sharpening iron, and all of us pushing each other because we can. All right.
Yes, sir. So we are introducing Block Detroit, BLCKDetroit.com. Go check it out. Building legacy, cultivating knowledge. It's a apparel line just inspired by Detroiters and for Detroiters. Come check us out.
Definitely. Hey, man, if you haven't already, I told you, you should have took advantage of it. But you have another opportunity. It's still a perfect time to go ahead and do that. Subscribe to the channel. And I want everybody to remember, you weren't born 100 years ago, and you weren't born 100 years later. If you don't know why God put you here, then you need to find out. Take advantage of the time. See y'all next week.
Peace.